I'm here today with Pamela Wilson. The first time I came across you, I don't know how actually, but I saw someone on the internet and they said that they'd been in Satsang with you and like you totally changed their life or something, just that Satsang experience. And I was like, ooh, that sounds good. um, and then I think I looked at your website or something and it said that you'd been with Robert Adams. Mm-hmm. And this is not necessarily true, but this is just like an idea that I have that I like to, just some ideas I play with. But I kind of feel like when you meet someone, you kind of, and especially if they're your teacher or you spend some time with them in that regard, you kind of carry their energy a bit. I don't know, I just kind of like that idea. So even me meeting you, I feel like I'll be taking you into my life.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, and maybe everybody who listens as well will take some of us with them. So I like that idea. So I actually thought it'd be really good to start at the very basic thing and then see where it goes from there. Because I often meet people and I just go straight into it without just kind of assuming that everyone who's listening knows even what satsang is. So even as I'm saying the word satsang this time, I'm thinking like there could be people listening that don't even know what satsang is. So the very basic thing, I think I'll let you say, like, what is satsang for you?
For me, it's a gathering of I said sometimes mountains that gather together, but it's also like a grove of trees. Everyone's honored equally. Everyone has the same heart, same mind, same wisdom, even though it speaks differently and displays differently and is creative in its own unique way. So satsang is a deeply respectful place where we can gather together and let the heart speak what touches it, what weighs on it. Any remaining misunderstandings are honored equally as clarity. It's just extra tender space. It's sort of a slowing down, sort of like going into a warm mineral water. Mm-hmm. And then everyone just shares because, we have such high standards for true nature and high standards for wakefulness. And actually, we're all doing the best we can. And especially it appears it might be a misunderstanding or a misperception, but it does appear that the human mind is a little extra stressed these days. And thus the body amplifies that. So we can all use a refuge or a safe place to just rest and share and wonder together.
Yeah. So one thing you said was that when we come together as these, I think you used the word rocks, it's like we use this space to kind of clear misunderstandings. Is that in relation to like that we're gathering together to be clear about our true nature?
Lovely. I like you saying that. Yes. And also to help it root and stabilize. Because since the body mind is shakeable, even though we're unshakable, often we don't have that felt sense of living what we love.
Yeah. And this was one of the reasons why I really wanted to speak with you as a, like living that. And I think that's what my exploration is, because some people that share satsang, it's kind of seems like, and I'm not saying it is like this, but it can seem like that the pointing is to true nature and then that's the end. Okay, you've discovered true nature now. Go off and be happy or something. But and maybe for some people it is like that, but I feel and see in my limited experience that it's for most people, it's even when we are clear of our true nature, there's what words did you use? Like to stabilize in that, to be able to live it, root, use something like the word, like to be able to root in that. so going to Satsang helps us to root in that and have a felt sense of that more and just feel really stabilized in it. I actually had the privilege, I would say, the honor of being in Satsang with you when you were here in Ireland recently. And one thing that I really liked about the way that you are is that you do make a point over and over again to say how equal we are, and that you're saying that everybody is a sage and honoring the wisdom in everybody. And in that way, it's a little bit different than many satsangs with people, with satsang teachers, because even though most satsang teachers don't really want a hierarchy, it's still set up that way. You know, it's set up that way. And I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, and they do still say like we're all equal, but I feel that you make an extra point of that. And I want to celebrate that, because I think it's very important. And to be in that energy, it kind of almost brings your own wisdom forward or something. You know, if somebody is here honoring it, it's like, yeah. And you're just affirming it, that it's here, you know, in everybody. And that's what we really want, I think, through going to Satsang, is to be able to see that wisdom that we find in ourselves. We want to be able to see it everywhere, in the people who annoy us. or or you know, everyone and everything.
Yeah, because I was very surprised. I thought once you realize your true nature, then you're kind of cooked, and the body would be totally stabilized and relaxed and open. And there is a grace period where it definitely feels like that, but then the emotions come, and the mind also wants to know its true nature, and the body and the heart. And so that was a surprise at the beginning. And then it was actually a privilege, as you said. It's a privilege to sit with the one mind and help it see its true nature within ourselves. And if a friend is receptive, help them see it. And also the emotions are just these wild-hearted, raucous beings, and they also want to know their true nature, which are all the divine qualities. So to me, it made it fun, instead of like going, okay, case closed, we're done, we're cooked. It's like, wow, this is infinite. This is really a treasure hunt.
Yeah. It's kind of mysterious, like life is mysterious. So an aspect of the mysteriousness is that you can be totally clear in your mind and maybe even in your heart, you know, about what your true nature is. But then some other parts of your body, like maybe some tension in your body or something, that then makes you act in a certain way, behave as if it doesn't know. Like, it's like I've seen in myself that I feel in my heart, I know that there's no separation, but there's parts of me that behave as if there is separation, and like are really afraid. It's like, that's very mysterious.
Yeah, and then that's where the compassion, good-heartedness that we all are, that's its talent, is to stay with some of the more ancient survival scared bits, so they can also know themselves.
And I wonder if you have a particular method, or how would you approach those things, like in yourself, or even in meeting them in a satsang environment? Like,
well, it depends. If something's agitated, then first I have to be extra respectful and honor its parts of its point of view. Like if something feels threatened, I'm going, we don't like feeling threatened. Or, I mean, I'm just really being its friend inside. And because you can't give it a dharma talk, you can't show it its true nature when it's upset, because it just wants to be held or soothed or listened to. So then if it settles down a bit, then I just ask, well, hey, wouldn't you like to live your nature? Wouldn't you like to come into present moment and leave history to self-liberate.
Mm.
And I kind of twinkle at it a little bit because extra compassion for so many of these ancient survival gifts have been on duty for who knows, thousands of years.
Yeah.
I used to think there was some personal deficiency or something was like really wrong with me because I was so well defended.
Mm.
Then now the view is like, oh, it comes with the body because bodies are sensitive and,
Yeah.
you know, they've been subject to threat for millennia. So the body has the memory of an elephant. So
Yeah.
if everybody else is relaxed, there's some parts of the body that are saying, no way,
Yeah.
I'm not letting my guard down. What if?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I it's like you're just finding those, the remaining vigilant guards and just go, oh yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
your love, big love.
Yeah. So it's just a kind of a natural thing that happens in the human body, really, all of those. And yeah, do you feel it's just consciousness trying to, well, I don't know if it's trying to do anything, but consciousness, maybe it is, consciousness evolving, like when everything, it's kind of like everything is coming to love. I kind of feel like that everything is kind of coming home to love. So if you're the presence that's able to meet everything. And then if it's met with love, it can be safe. And like you said, it doesn't need that guardedness anymore then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll relax when it encounters love or compassion or even, you know, exhaustion or warm sunlight or whatever.
Yeah.
But then we have to show it its true nature because I couldn't figure out at the beginning, you know, I would really, they'd always say, stay with somebody, stay with something or be with whatever arises. And I would be, but then it would subside and then it would pop back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be going, but I was with you. I stayed with you. You know,
Yeah.
and I realized, oh, I didn't show it its true nature.
Yeah.
So it'll come back into the protective function again and start worrying or tightening.
Yeah. It's kind of like the true nature has to be seen right in the middle of those things.
Exactly.
Isn't it? You're saying that we have to show it as if it's a thing that it can see, but it doesn't have that tension in my stomach that wants liberation, let's say. How can I show it?
Well, but it's also intelligent, the tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything has presence. It might not have a form, but it doesn't mean it's not intelligent presence or life itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like life is showing itself in different functions.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out.
Yeah.
You too are who you appear to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, Robert Adams is coming into my mind, and I feel like it's amazing that you got to sit with him.
I feel super blessed. Wow.
Yeah. I have that book that probably loads of people have called Silence of the Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all I know about Robert Adams. And I have heard him talking as well on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, you know, when you pick up a book that's written by someone, I feel like you can feel like their essence or their energy or something. Or like just when you're reading it, you can pick up on something. So I just feel like his depth of this, like his depth of understanding is like very deep. So if you have gotten to sit with him, I don't know if anything comes to your mind, like anything you'd like to share about when
he
you
was just so incredibly kind and respectful. And he'd start the satsang with, you are divine. You are not who you appear to be. And he'd say it over and over because, you know, most of us, or at least myself, was coming with, I'm a mess and please help me.
Yeah.
He was starting it off with, no, you're divine.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone tell me I was divine. So I was going, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we're so used to looking at the mess in a way.
Yeah.
And like everybody kind of knows about the human mess. So then it's like, ooh, like we kind of were troubled with that human mess, so we want to get rid of it. And then we want to know our divinity. But then it seems like we kind of go back to the mess a little bit. But we don't see it in the same way, maybe.
Yeah, nicely said. I think it's because the mess also wants to realize its true nature.
Yeah.
Because it's the one that was suffering it, not that it's an it, but the mess.
Yeah.
And so the mess is going, hello.
Yeah, it must be the one because like the divine nature has always been here and it's always been divine. So it has no problem at all.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And it's never had a problem. So, yeah. 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 I'm just waiting for the inspiration.
Yeah. It says for me it was helpful because sometimes we won't be patient with something if it's ours and super familiar and irritating and habitual. But if we realize, oh, this is the group consciousness suffering, then there's instantly space. And then there's like, oh, yeah, of course I'll show up for that. I'll be with that. Yeah. So that was helpful for me as well.
What do you mean, like the group consciousness suffering? Like, so when somebody brings something to the group, that it's for everybody?
Well, in the sense that, fear is too powerful to only be ours, and sorrow is way too deep to only be ours, and confusion is just so potently, obscuring that, you start to wonder what's animating all these things, and then there's no way one being could have accumulated all the stuff. So that also for me is like, oh, wow. Okay. Cause then it's off my shoulders or off. Do you know what I mean? It's not my problem. It's just like, oh, wow, here's sorrow itself, or here's depression itself, or here's fear itself, or here's separation itself. It's like, oh, come sit.
Yeah. Anytime I ever look into anything, I always find like separation is at the root of it, like the belief in separation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I feel like that's my job, not my job personally, but somehow like the interest is in that because that's what I find here when I look, and I'm sure there's lots of different aspects that
but it's so important because there's just a few root misunderstandings that are animating all the unpleasantness. And one is, perceived other separation, and then judgment to maintain that. I recently was with someone and they just, all these judging, disapproving thoughts were coming out of their mouth during a really joyous celebration, and it was just so weird. I was like, and then I saw it, oh, that's their defense, so they don't relax open and enjoy, and I'm going, oh, that's sad. It's deeply sad.
And I wonder, in your own journey, like, how has it changed? Like, how long ago was that you were sitting with Robert Adams?
1992 or 94, something like that. Early 90s.
So like 20 years ago.
More, yeah.
And I think, did you have other kind of teachers after that or just before that?
Before I was sitting with Lester Levinson, and then he passed. And then my friend Laura found Robert Adams in Los Angeles. So we all went to sit there, and it was such a refuge because before it was very much homework oriented with Lester. And then with Robert, it was just all about, rest. So Your divine rest. It was like, oh, thank you, thank you.
I think you carry that a bit, definitely, in the way you're kind of saying. You're saying that as well in your own way. You know, you're all sages. You're all sages here. You're like kind of affirming that all the time. And I don't know how other people feel, but there is a kind of even a rest in that, because sometimes in satsang it's like as if, okay, you're here and you have to discover something. There's something that you don't know that you need to discover. You know, like it can be set up like that. So then it's already like bringing in a kind of attention.
Like school.
It's like, yeah, like I have to discover my true nature. Whereas when it's just pointed out, like you're already your true nature. It's like, it does nothing actually to discover. It's fine. You can relax. No, I think you carry that. But the original question was, yeah, in the last 20 years, that's a big, big span, I know. But I wonder, how do you see inside yourself, like kind of growth? Or I don't know if growth is the right word, or you can change the words if you want.
Let's see. So definitely more felt sense of space. Yeah. And the more and more, since my pleasure has been showing the emotions in the mind and the conditioning and all the guards, their true nature, when they subside, they relax into big space, big presence, big. So there really is this quietness, just, I could almost say heavenly quietness in the mind and in the heart and in the body. And I'm still finding aspects of the conditioning that haven't fully come home yet. And it actually, for me, is like, I'm so happy when I find them, when they show up. And they usually show up through some restlessness or some upset. And that's good, because how can you miss that, you know? And then I really stay with them. And I mean, my way is to really stay for at least an hour with them until they really root down, quiet, and get that, okay, we don't have to hold that from the past. We don't have to keep reliving that from the past. Or
When you say you stay with them, do you just literally just be with them quietly, or do you communicate with them?
Yeah, I let it flare up. I let it lead the satsang, because sometimes inside it's stomping around, complaining about something, and I start with, yes, natural not to like that, or whatever. And then I stay with it, and then it usually goes into some, you could say, hurt place, or some totally curling up, retreating, defending itself. And then I stay with that. I really deeply bow to that. And then I ask it if it would like to stand tall or root down or shine again. That takes a little while for it to know it's safe to do that. Well, that's what goes on inside.
Yeah, probably everybody has different ways of being with whatever shows up as well. Like I don't think there is only one way.
Of course. My way is just kindness and respect, because I think it's really fast. Whereas before, I might have used my head to try and figure out, where did this come from, blah, blah, blah. But that just postpones being with it,
Yeah. I actually think it's really good that we're talking about this. I think it's a kind of an idea that is within, at least, maybe I can look at it closer and then move on to another idea to dispel. But like, I think this is an idea that's within people that I talk to, is that if you still have things coming up, like conditioning and all coming up, that it means something. Like, it means that I'm not actually abiding in myself or something. These are words that people adopt from something. And I don't think it does mean that, I mean, it could mean it sometimes, but like, I think it's only for the person, it's only for the person to know. But I think we can quickly jump, like, so if somebody, for example, recognizes who they are, and then they have that, what you call a grace period, which is beautiful. Have a grace period where nothing seems to be happening, everything is just blissful and wonderful and quiet and everything. And then after a certain amount of time passes, something happens. And then all of a sudden there's like noise inside again in whatever way. So then it's like we can quickly jump then to the idea that, okay, this is here. So it means that actually I need to search for myself again. Like I need to look for something. I need to find that peace and quiet again. And of course, it's not about a state really, So I don't know if you want to say something about that, but
Yeah, first of
about
all,
dispelling that idea.
yeah, the mind has the awake asleep thing, and then it uses it to judge the embodiment or beingness or awareness. And, you really have to nip that in the bud because it's your instrument of separation
Yeah.
is trying to be your enlightenment coach. And then the other thing is that it's meant to be like this. Consciousness wants everything to know itself.
Yeah.
So that it wants the body to know itself, the emotions, the mind, the heart, the belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so. So it's actually, they don't really speak about post recognition. Maybe in some traditions they do, but it's natural that the emotions come and raise their hand inside, going, "Hey, what about us?
Yeah.
Who are we?" And the head's going, I'm really tired of thinking and worrying and replaying. Could you show me my true nature?
Yeah. Yeah. So like it doesn't mean that everything has to be just like quiet and still and blissful, because like we talk about like bliss and like nirvana and all these kind of things. So it sounds like, in the beginning when you come to satsang or when you come to spirituality, you can have this idea that like really it's maybe kind of trying to run away from all that human stuff. And it's like, oh, this sounds better. This bliss thing sounds much better. I think I'll choose that instead. But then like that's not really what we get. It's like it doesn't actually change like your inner world, your the way you're wired up.
Well, actually, the wiring is just maintained by tension.
Yeah.
So if we honor the tension, see, once again, we're back to just the few roots that are maintaining anything uncomfortable. Tension would be one, separation, they're kind of the same. Just some sense of it's not safe to be here. It's not safe to be natural. Those innocent misunderstandings. And then we just kind to that, a little compassion, like yikes.
Yeah. I wonder, you mentioned something there about all the different parts of us want to wake up, like all the different parts. Someone said something to me recently. I don't know if they say it in Buddhism or what tradition they say it in, but someone said it to me the other day that we wake up in our hearts and then in our stomachs and then in our bellies. And like it's a downward movement.
Yeah. And we also want to include the mind too.
Yeah, it would have to, I know, but this is just what the person said. That's what I thought. So like you'd have to start with the mind, like starts with the mind maybe, then down, down, down.
Yeah, so, no, definitely down to the toes.
Down to the toes, yeah, just including everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then everything is content. Everything's going, wow, it's okay to be here. It's okay to be me, so to speak,
Yeah.
Okay to be a unique embodiment of the one and be safe and have some fun, create.
Yeah. Something I don't know if I'm like projecting this on you or not, but I kind of like sensed off your presence and maybe your way of sharing is that, and even just what I said there and then your reaction is kind of like just like no idea at all. Like you can't really hold on to any one idea. So I was saying like, oh yeah, it goes downwards. You know, so if you take that as an idea, then it's like, oh yeah, the awakening needs to go downwards. And if it's not happening like that, then it's not happening right here. You know, this is what our minds do, isn't it? But actually, like, yeah, like just in any one person, we're all so unique and individual. It can be anything, anything. Um, but yeah, so I think that you are just kind of, I don't know if do you feel like you have any one idea that you're stuck to?
Let's
Or,
see. Let's see. I could say I have a longing. I'm not stuck to it. Well, I'm not attached to it, but there's definitely a core longing
mm,
for humanity's minds to be healthy and their hearts to be healthy. And there's definitely
yeah,
a core longing. It's like, oh, please,
yeah,
now,
yeah,
rather than the slow boat. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of natural in our being, isn't it? That I don't know if it's a human thing or divine thing or both, but like of course, we like to see people happy.
Yeah, happy and wise and clear and kind and creative. And, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I talked about that idea that I think it's good to dispel, you know, the idea that if something appears in us, that it means we're not awake.
Yeah,
So
that whole awake asleep thing is designed to so the
yeah,
mind can go back into control again,
yeah.
steer the
So I wonder if there's any idea that you see in consciousness that you would like to bring light to, you know, for whoever is listening, myself included, to kind of contemplate and see through it. You know, something maybe that people come a lot in Satsang, and it's like, okay, this would be really good to be seen through.
Let's see. I guess that sense of feeling less than, and it has, some cousins. One is not deserving, and also this thing you have to earn freedom. All those are just part of role play, and you're already animated by life. These bodies are, and we're deeply, deeply cherished by life. And life, if we walk by a tree isn't judging, disapproving of us. The tree is just going, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hello. And we're going, hello, tree. So I just, that whole less than thing, because it's also the underpinning for separation and hierarchy and pressure and stress and hatred. Yeah. Just, it's innocence. Innocence is precious. Innocence is natural. It doesn't have to earn its freedom.
If somebody is feeling less than, it doesn't really work for us to just say, you're not less than, isn't it? Like, we're like, okay, it's nice to hear that. But like, we still need to somehow know it for ourselves. And I also think we really want it. We don't just want someone to tell us.
Yeah.
So, would you say, or would you say something different? Would you say that, like, to know it for ourselves and to be able to see all those ideas, false ideas for ourselves as false, would be to recognize our true nature?
Yeah, that's one way to do it. It's also to be curious about less than, because if you feel into its essence, it's super humble. It's super humble. And I mean, that's why I like curiosity. Because instead of going, oh man, I'm less than, I'm dot. Let's be curious about that. Like, wow, that's so powerful. Here's something that thinks it's less than, and it can ruin your day in 2 seconds. How can that be less than? That's super powerful. And then we go, oh, I wonder what that is. What's animating that? Or what's that what's the function of less than, or I'm a mess, or, So that's me. I mean, I'm just super curious.
Yeah.
And
so it kind of sounds like then, I kind of think that curiosity is like if you're looking at something in a curious way, you're already kind of in your true nature anyway.
that's so true.
But you're not making a big point of it. Like some satsang teachers are real like, no, we just won't look at that for a minute. We have to know our true nature. But this way kind of sounds like whatever is showing up, we can just be curious about it. We don't have to look for our true nature.
Very nice.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Because that's where we're viewing from. Just to see separation, to feel it, points to that we're viewing from oneness, because only oneness could notice separation. And only all welcoming would notice judging, disapproving, rejecting. So it's kind of cool to see where you live from. I mean, we think we're living from the heart, but if you notice, you're that which is aware also of the heart. So you have to be kind of behind or.
Yeah. So in your satsang, if somebody comes and they're feeling very much kind of, maybe they don't come like this, I don't know, but if they're feeling very much kind of attached, let's say, to an idea of themselves, or like, maybe something is playing out like less than, or maybe they're depressed, or anything that's kind of not really reflective of their true nature. You don't really point them to their true nature. You just invite them to be curious, because you're assuming already that they know their divine nature because you're all sages.
That's it. That's it. So even if a friend, like Lao Tzu said, to be like a kind-hearted grandparent inside, that was his pointer. So as soon as we can notice, like, oh man, something inside is really feeling sad. Oh, can we go be with that? Because then all of a sudden you are true nature, just going, oh, that's no fun. Come here, come here.
Yeah. I don't know, there's just some kind of sense, like nice sense. Like if you're curious about something, like let's just take that less than, and then you're curious. And then if you discover, okay, this is not true. Like, whoa, this is not true. You've believed it all your life, and like, whoa, this is not true. Like that is, you're waking up through that, isn't it? And I think it will like impact their like your whole life. And then of course maybe some other idea will show up another time. Yeah, it's a very nice and loving way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than working on it from the mind as a problem to be fixed, because then you're using your instrument of conditioning and separation to try and fix something.
Yeah.
And then it feels, whatever you're being with feels pressured and starts to protect itself.
Yeah. And I think it can actually lead to a lot of spiritual ideas, or kind of like a whole kind of spiritual identity. Whereas this way is, I don't know, it's probably less likely, maybe because you're just curious. You're just it's like alive, looking, you're curious, you're just meeting with, it feels like love and attention, and like you said like a mother. It's like you're the mother for all the parts of you or something.
Yeah, we're life itself. So it's like, I often, in the beginning, since I didn't quite, not that I get everything in the infinite, but I would look to nature for confirmation if I was noticing something inside. Like I would notice, that the body has, the protection is actually deep in the body. It's not up on the surface.
Yeah.
And so that was a great clue for me. So then I would look behind the tightness in the body to see what it's protecting, because it wasn't protecting the body. That was such a like, ooh, that's very cool. So then I'd look behind and there would be just naturalness or true nature just shining. And then I would check and anything else I would notice, I would check with nature. Like right outside my window right here is this magnificent tree, and it has protective bark. Before, I had this whole story like, being defended isn't good, I should be open, and
Yeah.
and then I look at the tree, and the tree has protective bark. So then that softens my whole belief about conditioning,
Yeah.
simple stuff.
Yeah. Someone said to me once, like, about that, like, ideas run deep in the body.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're kind of saying like the same thing, and that's what I'm finding in myself as well. Like, and I don't know, I haven't really been in that scenario where I have to describe it to someone, except for my son who's only 6. And I was describing to him the other day. I said, like, I was looking inside at something and I saw this and this, and he was like, "Oh, how do you look like that?" And then I felt like this has gone a bit too far to be talking to a 6-year-old. But I also felt like, oh, it's kind of hard to tell someone, how do you look inside like this? So we're talking about looking, but I realized that, like, for someone hearing this, it might not be easy to do it.
But it might not be looking, we're all different. It might be feeling. Like, so for instance, if the heart is upset about something, I put my hand on the heart.
Yeah.
I kind of, rub it a little bit or pat it. And then I can go behind the hand. So sometimes touch, it will be the access rather than looking or listening, or we're all so unique. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, you already have their way of being with something,
Yeah.
So it might be looking or listening or touching or wondering, curiosity. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's good as well. You're saying you already have your way of being with something, because I think sometimes we can doubt ourselves and we don't trust that we have what we need. But I feel like we do, and to just have that kind of intention, if you just have some time, okay, I'm going to, whatever word you want to use, look, listen, feel, some other variation, but you're going to be with your whole system and whatever it wants to communicate. So then it's kind of like, just trust the process, because it's like you don't really know what's going to happen in advance, isn't it? Like, so it's just like you're creating space.
The body is since it's animated by life, which is pure intelligence, then that points to that the body, when it's relaxed, is pure intelligence. Everything when it's relaxed is pure intelligence. So then it kind of leads the way. I'll start by being respectful inside, or touching the heart if it's sad, but then it takes off all by itself, so to speak. And I'm just, yes, thank you.
I think that's,
folks, also movement really helps, going for a long walk or a run or so many ways to be with any restlessness or upset.
I think it's empowering as well when we feel like that like we have inside us what it needs, because life itself is here, like moving the process. We just have to, I don't know, we can choose to support it or something.
Nicely said. I like that. Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, I've been having like these podcasts for a while, a year. And I don't know, in the beginning, like, I don't know what it felt like, to be honest. But now it's starting to feel like I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Like, I feel like it's important in a way and I enjoy it. But like, then I'm like, like it's like we just talk about like the most obvious stuff.
I know, but it's so sweet. I wouldn't have been great if you and I don't know when you first encountered naturalness or truth or whatever we want to call this, but for me it was when I was, I guess I was 22. But it was meditating, and it was a little bit more ornate. I really like simplicity, and I like something that is super effective, efficient, timeless. But it's so nice. I mean, all we're doing is confirming what everyone already knows, but there's a little wobble of doubt about it. So then that's so fun. It's kind of what music does too, is that if we've had an overwhelming day or whatever, and you turn on your favorite music, the body starts to unwind and the body starts to remember. So it's the same thing. It's like a lullaby with words.
Yeah. Little wobble of doubt. I like that. There can be like a little wobble of doubt. And then it's almost like that's what kind of life is for. I feel like my life anyway, this life. It's like life is for just to, anytime like doubt shows up, whether it shows up here or there, wherever it shows up, it's like just kind of affirming, like, and checking, like, is there anything in this? Like checking into the doubt. And then it's like every time you find like, no, it was a lie. There was nothing in it. So it seems like that's very important, to check that little wobble of doubt. So even if it's very, very small. And, we can't know, because just something what came up when you said that was, I remember my teacher saying to all of us one time, so does anybody here have any doubt? So everyone's like being quiet for a minute, checking in. Then he goes around to everybody. It's like, do you have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? And in that moment, I was like, no, I have no doubt at all. But then, like, after some years pass, and I told him, then I said, do you know what? You can't actually know in a moment if you have doubt or not, because it's just like as life goes on, like it kind of comes out of your body or something. Like in a moment, you can say, no, I have zero doubt. But we really don't know it at all until it shows up. Then you'll see if you have doubt or not. Like if some crazy life experience gets thrown at you or something.
Yeah, it's just protective doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so sweet. You speak of your teacher and the teachers I've been with, and they're like messengers. They're kind of like, I'm looking at the tree again. They're like favorite trees that sheltered us and invited us to rest and look a little deeper. And so it's like a little tag team, and even a best friend can be that, or an ocean, or your favorite walking trail, or even hot soup. Doesn't matter. Relaxes you and opens you back up. We're so lucky. Music, art, children.
So I wonder, before we finish, is there anything in your heart that you'd like to share?
Well, one thing that's super quick and easy is to allow awareness or presence, whatever you want to call who we all are, to turn around inside and bow to itself. Letting the heart bow to itself. Really honoring the great mystery of life inside. Because really all the tension in the weaving of the opposites and of conditioning is just born of disrespect. And so by really bowing inside or saying hello or adoring inside, then all the disrespect and the tension start to melt. So it's really quick.
It's very beautiful, and it reminds me of something that you shared in Satsang, which is the same thing, but you actually said that at a certain point you had a practice where you were bowing to, like, if you were going in to meet your father or something, you were like bowing to him in your head. you know.
I was
And I just,
back, yeah,
yeah,
to whoever I saw, even animals or birds, I
yeah,
would, when I'd go visit my cranky dad, I would bow to his true nature from the heart,
yeah.
bow to his head and bow. And then it's just, most folks haven't, been met with deep and true respect. So when you do that, they
Mm.
just open and shine.
Yeah, I want to remember this because I think when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh, yeah, that is a really good practice because for many reasons. So either you're bound to them and you're totally respectful to them, or if there's something that is resistant to bowing to them because they're doing something really annoying or something, it will also show you that. So
Yeah.
it'll give you something that you can be curious about and look into.
Yeah, there's
Um,
never a lack of things to be curious about in the
yeah.
infinite.
Yeah.
Ah.
This is note to self. I just think it's such a great practice.
Oh, thank
Um, but I haven't done it yet, so I don't
you.
know.
It's fun to try it on strangers. They're
Yeah,
not going to be aware of what you're doing, but it's
yeah,
it's 'cause it's unseen from the heart, but they feel it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's my aim. I'm going to try to take that on when I remember. Yeah. Maybe someone else who's listening would like to try it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let you know that we'll give you a report.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, dear. Lovely to be together.
Yeah, thank you. I love your presence, and I feel like you're totally. I love to meet with people who are very like agendaless. You know,
Yeah.
you're not really stuck on, okay, I need to share in this certain way. It's just like whatever way life will have it flow. It's like
Yeah.
it's very
Easier to
easy.
be like warm water than be
Yeah,
directed. Hmm.
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, dear. To be with you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for
Okay.
your time, and I love you.
Much, much love. Much love to you and your
Yeah,
son.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Mm.